The Economic Update with Tatiana Bailey.
The latest jobs report released this past week was less than stellar, pointing to a downward trend with job growth.
Dr. Tatiana Bailey brings us a look into the factors causing concerning trends for the workforce.
You may have seen that last week we again had a disappointing monthly employment report, and then this week we had a large downward revision in the number of new jobs added from March 2024 to 2025. Let's look at the details. Starting with this week's jobs report, there were only 22,000 jobs added in August. This follows only 79,000 new jobs in July and an outright reduction in employment in June of 13,000 fewer jobs. By way of reference, from 2012 to 2019, there were almost 200,000 new jobs added per month. Our 3-month moving average for employment from June to August of this year is now at its lowest level since the pandemic. The sector that grew the most was healthcare and social assistance, driven primarily by our aging demographic. Because this large industry is tied to demographics and is considered essential, it tends to be less cyclical and is perceived as a staple that doesn't imply innovation or true economic growth. Meanwhile, federal government employment continued to fall as adjustments in that sector persist. Since January, there are almost 100,000 fewer people employed in government. Our unemployment rate stayed almost the same at 4.3%, and that is precisely due to the high number of retirees exiting the workforce, while we have fewer working-age people who are either working or looking for work. The other somewhat bad news this week was that revisions were made to the number of jobs added from March 2024 to March 2025. In fact, that revision showed the U.S. economy added 911,000 fewer jobs. That's almost half of what we originally thought for those 12 months. While I do see material slowing in the labor market, there will be one final revision in February with all survey and business data combined that is typically the most accurate. All in, I would say that there is no question that the labor market is slowing. This is mostly due to policy uncertainty that impacts businesses, especially around tariffs, as well as the disruption of AI. These weaknesses will be enough to prompt 2 rate cuts this year, but we are in the pickle of slowing employment and a weak labor market alongside persistent inflationary pressures. That is not a good mix.